One last technical question. Do you have any idea how many decks the ship has? Does it have any holodecks? You've answered that. Wow. Or any other iconic 24th century rooms, technology, such? Like, does it have quarters like Voyager or bunks more like Defiant?
Um, that's something that we really haven't explored. I would imagine that it would probably have quarters on board. Just that it's a bigger ship or it's a ship with a relatively small crew. So there would be more room for people to go about, mingle, and so forth with the various compartments. The flip side of it, of course, is you have to have a crew on board to run the ship. So I imagine that there's some component, some area of the ship where we do see bunks. As far as mess hall or other facilities like that,
Yeah.
um, it may, but I can tell you for sure that given the nature of the ship, it does have an armory on board.
So now let's move on to a little bit of behind the scenes. Now, who exactly was involved with this design process, and how long did it take from initial idea to finished rendered product? Tell us about the genesis of this ship and some of the steps in its development.
The writers, Ethan, Jack, writer and producer Sky Conway, and I really just sat down and the writers gave me input on what they were looking for. So after I threw out an initial couple sketches, they came back to me with this space vessel that had a very aggressive stance. It's very popular. You might have seen it. And I'm sure Doug Drexler would love this. It was the Cylon Heavy Raider. I believe that's what it was.
From the remastered series.
Yeah, from the other series. But what they liked about it was that it was just overtly aggressive. And so after doing several more designs and concepts, I finally said, all right, guys, let me just take the ball and run with it. It did take several more evolutions of the design to come up with what we see as the Icarus. Now, as the design progressed, it did get a little bit more grungy. It did wind up becoming more aggressive, so that it did have all these bits and pieces that just reached out toward you like fingers, claws, gave you that intimidating feel when you looked at the vessel. And that was completely on purpose, obviously, because we wanted it to really team with weapons and be this assault vessel that could simply go away. When the producers and the writers saw what I had cranked out as far as design goes, they immediately fell in love with it. It was fantastic. At that point, I brought Roland Barron into the model building process, and Roland took the paper concept designs, started modeling it, asked for some blueprints, some plans essentially. And at that point, I put those out and gave those to Roland. Roland went back through, asked me for any markings or anything else extra. And so there was the Skull and Bones logo, the Icarus hull markings that I generated and gave to Roland. And he really took that design and fleshed the whole thing out. Now, Tobias and Roland work in the same modeling program. So Roland was able to give Tobias the finished model. And what can I say? Tobias took that model and rendered it out and put together the most beautiful space scenes I have seen to date.
Mm-hmm. Now,
so,
what was the exact time frame for that, though, from the conception to the Tobias doing his finishing touches and creating scenes with it?
Well, the back and forth on the model on the ship design took about a month and a half to do that. And once we got Roland moving on it, because remember, we're talking about a project of love, right? So we're talking about, essentially what amounts to artists doing this out of the sheer passion for Star Trek that they have. These guys are professional, but they are doing this because of the love of the project and the camaraderie that we have from working on Star Trek of Gods and Men. So Roland took, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 months between his day job and other commitments. Just a lot to Renegades. There's a lot that everyone has to do. And when you're working with a project like this, I'd love to take a minute here and point out that when you go see a film like Iron Man or any of the other blockbusters out there, right? Avengers just came out. They have huge scores of artists on board. Renegades has maybe 20 or 30 artists on board, and about 6 of them are absolutely dedicated. So we have essentially what amounts to this many people cranking these shots out that are the primaries, or the visual effects heads. We don't have 10 different visual effects houses on this. It's just these guys cranking this out in the same amount of time that it takes a major studio with multi-millions of dollars to do something very similar. Granted, theirs is probably going to look a little bit better because they have all those rows and rows of people and visual effects houses around the world and the thousands of people that work on them. But Renegades is going to look very, very good, yeah, and hold its own compared to virtually any other past Trek that we've seen.
If you could, do you remember what the original couple of instructions were? You mentioned that you were sat down with the writers and they asked for specific things. What were the original keywords they put to you to design the Icarus?
Very aggressive, very loaded out with weapons. It's often said that an idea starts with pen and paper. And in this case, the idea started with the script. So it just had to be aggressive. It had to be unique and recognizable as a Renegade ship.
Which leads on to the last question. So how do you think the final version in the film does reflect your original concept? Is there anything that you missed that was taken out? Maybe a transphasic cloak? Because, come on, that makes things so much easier.
No, I really can't say anything specific about that because it's a spoiler.
Okay, then.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay, so it's time to move on to the discussion part of the show. So overall, I think this is a fabulous design. I love the look of the ship, and it's quickly become one of my favorites, like I said. I love how it's a compact design, and one of my favorite things has got to be the warp engines. A very unique, sleek, and tapered look. So great job, guys.
Yeah, for me, it's a ship that I think it takes a few minutes to get your head around. It's so different and yet so Trek, which is a really hard thing to do. I really like when you see it in motion. I mean, the trailer just looks really fantastic. And obviously, I can't wait to see it in the full movie because it's going to just shine. Shine in a sort of grungy way. I think it's a really interesting design, and to see how it fits into your post-Voyager world, yeah, it's really cool, and it still keeps its aesthetics from the past. Yeah, nicely done. So well done. A cool ship. Come on, really, Scott. Is that all weapons you could fit on it? Come on, there's some more space here and there. More cannons? No.
The Icarus really does have a lot more weaponry on board than you think, because each one of those small nubs that you see all over the ship is an anti-personnel phaser turret. Along one side of the ship, I've got the image pulled up right over here on my other screen. That's why I'm looking in this general direction for our viewers.
Good.
Along the top half of the hull, I believe we're looking at 9 phase anti-personnel phaser strips along that side of the hull. Wow. So multiply that out by 3, you're looking at 27 of those. So yeah, I was able to put more guns on that ship.
Okay, thank you, Scott. You answered my question somehow.
But no, seriously, these plasma turrets and the anti-personnel phaser strips have another purpose too, and that's to bring as much firepower as possible into a potential area. So if you imagine a World War II battleship with its anti-aircraft guns firing, its flak guns firing all at the same time, that's essentially the type of effect that you would see if the Icarus decided to open up and fire all of its guns on at one time.
Which I'm hoping to see in the film, hopefully.
Okay, so let's move on. So that's what we liked about the ship.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what we don't really like.
Oh.
There's nothing I really don't like about the ship, but it does look almost Maquis Raider in its design with all the structures on the hull. And I'm really not a huge fan of the Maquis or the Raider, personally. But I do understand that it is a mercenary ship, and I think it suits this particular ship. So I think with the smaller size of the ship and such, it kind of works and makes sense for me. But despite that, I really enjoyed the design and have nothing really negative to say about it. So
I mean, at this early stage, what can we say? There's not much I don't like. We'll have to see it in action in the movie to really get a sense of it. But I'm impressed, and I think anything that I had concerns of, you've answered in this episode, which is awesome. I love hearing all the thought that went into these ships. It really makes these episodes just so excellent, especially by fans like yourself. I mean, we put a lot of thought into this sort of stuff. So if I had to pick one thing, because we always got to pick one thing, perhaps those phaser strips on the side of the saucer. They're just too damn radical, but cool idea. And I hope like we see all weapons blazing. It look very cool. So that's me.
cool. Is there anything you don't like about the ship, Scott?
Yeah.
You'd like to change?
You had to say. We're putting on the spot.
If you have to say yes.
Let me think. No, I think I'm good.
Perfect. Cool. Well, let's move on to the versus part of the show now. And
Cool.
This is always fun. Scott's going to be our judge. He's going to decide who wins.
Yep.
And so for our first battle, I'm going to have the Icarus. And Samuel, what are you going to put up against this beauty?
So it's sort of half in the script, but I mean, I wanted to pick the Defiant, but then you picked the Defiant. I've got to say that because I'm a bit annoyed at you for that. So I had to think of another ship. Well, I want to pick the Prometheus. The ship was launched after the Sovereign and called one of the most advanced ships in the fleet, designed for combat. Bring it on, Stuart. I mean, come on, this thing has regenerative shields, a blade of hull armor, multi-vector assault mode. It's the entire package, so I am very confident.
It's what the Icarus was designed on, basically. You just said that earlier.
Yeah, but you've been whatever. So yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to using. So Stuart, who wants to go first?
You go ahead.
Well, aren't you a renegade when you attack me? I'm just cruising. Or am I coming after you?
You're coming after me because I just raided an outpost.
Oh, evil. Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna warp in. I've got 9.9, pretty sure. Warp in. I'm gonna load up some quantums. I'm gonna start firing phasers. I mean, maybe you can dodge it, but you're not gonna be able to dodge every single shot. I think I'm just as maneuverable as you, even though I'm a bit bigger, quite a bit bigger. And I think if I get a couple of quantums, your shields are gonna buckle, and then yeah, just keep concentrating fire. If I want to use multi-vector assault mode, come on, you saw in the episode it go through a Nebula class shields in a second. So if I split myself into 3, your shields are not gonna withstand it. So I'm pretty sure I've won this already, Stuart.
So it's 3 against 1, so you're cheating already. But
oh, come on.
As soon as I see you drop out of warp, I'm going to like fire some kind of plasma burst to jam your sensors. And then I'm going to, I hope, cloak, because I don't know if I have a cloaking device. That would be cool to see. Cloak, do some erratic maneuvering, get behind you, decloak, and just pummel you with all the weapons that we have.
Oh, come on. I can dodge that. And since I'm using a ship from the same era that your ship is, I'm gonna avoid your blade of hull armor. So I'm gonna activate hull armor. We know it starts on the back. So well, in this one it does. So I'm already defended. So you're hitting. Nah.
My ship was built after your ship, so technically it probably has the same kind of
But
armor.
it's a stealth cruiser. Stealth cruiser. So I bet you have a higher shield output because I've just got more power because I'm a bigger ship.
Let's just hand this off to Scott. Scott, who wins this battle? Come on.
Of the same era, remember. So it's Prometheus of the same time.
Oh, gotcha.
In this case, I would love to be able to give it to Stuart, but since he doesn't know enough about Icarus, and we'd like to keep it that way, although the Icarus would, really kick some serious butt over the Prometheus. And as far as piloting goes, I have to give it to Samuel.
Okay, then it's not fair that I didn't know what my ship is capable of, but we'll deal with that in another episode.
You see, what I would have done was cloak the ship, lay down a series of mines, come
we have
up
mines.
with
That's cool.
Samuel, open up with the phaser cannons, because obviously that's capable of taking out a Klingon cruiser fully armed with its shields raised in one shot, right? And then, if he had already separated, I would have gone after him with all of our phaser strips, main phaser arrays, pulse cannons, anti-personnel phasers, and then just for giggles, a couple of aft torpedoes to finish him off in one pass. Did I say that?
Yeah. So, yeah, let's just say that the Icarus wins this first battle. Now it's time for a second battle, though.
Which is good, because now I know what it's capable of, ish. So now it's my turn. I get the Icarus. So Stuart, what are you going to go against? Me.
So now he knows what it's capable of, and now he has an unfair advantage. It's not fair, Scott.
Well, it's Renegade. That's what we like.
Okay, well, I'm going to pick the Defiant, like you said earlier. So
A tough little ship, but is it tough or little enough?
Well, it's not really the Defiant, it's the Sao Paulo. It's been renamed. So I'm already at a disadvantage. It doesn't have the heart and soul of the Defiant. Or is it the Defiant before it got destroyed?
Well, it's up to you. You can pick the Defiant in the same era if you want.
No, I'll pick the Cisco's Defiant.
Okay, so you got a good pilot. Okay, so apparently I'm coming after you. So yeah, what Scott said.
Yeah, but the Defiant's smaller and more maneuverable. I could fly circles around you, my friend.
Yeah, but as you know, phaser strips lock on, and while you're going to miss a lot of shots, come on, I've got... Just by spinning, each of the different phaser strips are going to keep going. I mean, just keep spinning, keep firing. I mean, even blind fire we saw in Nemesis, you'll eventually hit something, so I've got enough stuff. Maybe, I mean, if you're clever, the Icarus might be able to fire multiple phaser beams from a single strip. That'd be a good move. So maybe all 6 spinning, they're all firing several bits. I'm going to hit you.
I got self-replicating mind. I'm just going to lay them down, let them start replicating themselves, and you're just going to hit one of them. I don't know. I lose.
This is a good ship, Scott. We like it. It's fun.
It's a good ship.
So who won that? Who won that, Scott? Because you are the judge.
Oh, I think I have to give this one to Samuel.
So does that mean I've killed Cisco? Yes. Yes, it does. I've blown him up.
You killed the emissary.
I don't know. Did Cisco eject?
Yes. In a torpedo
No, he
tube.
did.
Right at the hull of the Icarus. Cisco splatter. Oh, it's just gross. Okay.
Yeah. So got any closing thoughts on the verses? Got anything you want to say? Because that was, I think the Icarus is pretty powerful. That's my closing thought on this. Any closing thoughts, Scott?
Icarus is a tough little ship. I don't know if the Starfleet vessel is really a proper contender.
Okay, well, I think that's it for this episode, guys. It was great to talk about such a great and unique little ship like this. I really, really love this design, and I'm really hoping for a model kit of it soon. So, Samuel, you know what you want to get me for Christmas this year, right?
Is that with or without the modifications? Because, I mean, they're on back order for at least 200 years. I don't know if I can get one in time.
Excuses. Anyway, a very special thank you to our awesome guest star, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us today, Scott.
Thank you for having me, guys.
No problem, anytime. And we have more specials lined up with you, so look forward to those. Anyway, guys, please visit Trekyards.com for all past episodes, and don't forget about our Twitter and Facebook pages. Also, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you all next week. Until then, this is Captain Foley,
Commander
Calkins,
That's me.
and our special guest, Scott Nakada, signing off until then. Trek on, guys.